Wow, Oda just dropped a banger of a chapter with such massive lore and a pre-time skip charm to boot. If you don't want to be spoiled, then do not watch further. We start the chapter with a massive beast of the underworld attacking Goldberg of the New Giant Pirates. Goldberg tells this to his shield, speaking to it, and his shield responds. It then gets in front of the monster and blocks the attack. Then we see Zoro on top of Sanji's extended leg, and he launches Zoro into the air, and Zoro one-shots this monster. They discuss how much food this monster will grant them, and Goldberg says if you cook it in sake, it'll be amazing. And Sanji's like, we don't have access to that kind of stuff, but Goldberg tells him that they could go to the hunter's cabin and find stuff there. That's when Zoro proposes the question we're all thinking, what is the deal with Goldberg's shield? He explains that it came from when his dad went to take down Big Mom all the way back when she was in Elbaf. And Zoro's like, oh, so it's kind of like Zeus then. And the shield responds like, wait, you know Zeus, the top commander of the homies? And Zoro's like, yeah, he's our navigator's servant now. And the shield's like, what? The shield's name is Nash, by the way, and I think Zeus and Nash being alive could prove that Big Mom is also alive. Then we see that Loki is explaining how he got injured. It was from the Holy Knights. Hyrudian tries to blame this on Loki. He's like, you must have gotten into trouble. And Loki's like, of course not. Loki says if he had gone far enough to cross paths with the Holy Knights, he would already be king of the world, which I find really interesting. Luffy is just perplexed that there are these world government warriors that he is not aware of. That's when Zoro, Sanji, and Goldberg come in with the dinosaur they hunted. Zoro makes sure to let everyone know that he was the one to take out the dinosaur. And Sanji's like, it was awesome. For a second, I thought broccoli was dancing in the sky. It just kind of feels like pre-time skip here with Sanji launching Zoro into an attack and then hunting and bickering over something. Stanson collects some wood for the fire and they cook up this beast. Luffy hurls this freshly cooked piece of meat at Loki and they're like, be careful, his wounds could open up. Loki lets Luffy know that he is not having that, and Luffy's like, well, at least I know you're getting better. He says, just eat already, you won't get better if you don't eat. So Loki reluctantly eats. They sit him up because he complains about swallowing while lying down. Luffy thinks that Loki was choking, so he goes to grab some soup, and Loki's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He does not want that stuff near him. It is clearly way too hot to be consumed. It's off screen, but it looks like Luffy just dumped the entirety of it on Loki. Gerd says, looks like he got another burn. And Loki says, get this man away from me. Gerd gets Luffy's attention and Luffy's like, hey, I'm sorry, but Gerd just gives him a thumbs up. She clearly is not a big fan of Loki. Sanji starts saying, what could this man have possibly have done to create such animosity? And Zoro's thinking that whole promise that Loki made to Luffy was a lie. Loki acknowledges this promise, but he makes sure to say that you guys didn't keep your promise. I still have one chain on me. He's astonished at how badly Luffy wants to see Shanks, but he also understands it because being a kid looking up to a pirate is something he relates to. Luffy says, you talk like you had someone like that too. And Loki says, yes, I did. And if you didn't read the leaks, you would never expect the pirate that I'm about to show you right here. Loki looks so innocent here, but he is just shut down by this pirate. So Loki replies, then let's fight. And this pirate's like, huh? Then we see Loki lying on the ground, just utterly defeated. There's a sword in him. And one silhouette says, you pulled a sword on a kid, really? And the other silhouette says, shut up, Newgate. This is clearly Rocks and Whitebeard. I absolutely love what Oda is doing with Loki here. It is just so interesting. And this also kills a lot of Rock's theories, which I'll get to at the end. But Loki is just mad because he was born in the wrong era. He clearly wanted to be Rock's age to be on his crew. Then we see the giant pirates finally arriving where all the nightmares are and they're ready to go into action and they are putting in work right here in this panel. They notice one of them looks like Loki, so Gabon targets that one and he rushes ahead. And he just splits it in two with ease. They're just glad that these monsters were born through the kid's imagination and not actually real because they think if they were real, they would probably be a lot harder to defeat. Gabon then starts to sense 3 more enemies. It seems like he's saying that these people are trying to hide their presence, but he can still feel it clear as day. He goes on to say if even Elbaf isn't safe, then this is truly the end of days. Then we're shown the firefighting unit and they're still trying to put out the fire that Loki started. We see Saul crying out to the unit, telling them to come over here and put out the fire since the kids are about to walk into it, and we see that he took out Fenrir. I guess they're spraying at max pressure, but there's not much they can do, and the kids are still approaching the fire, and Saul is just praying that they can put it out. We see Saint Summers is questioning if the kids will wake up if they go into the fire. Gunkko says yes, they'll wake up from the heat, but then they'll be turned into bones, essentially. She gets really dark here. Then we see someone morphing a sea cloud while the firefighters are just hopeless. Saint Summers is happy. Then we see this absolute laser of sea cloud be launched straight at the fire. We all know who is responsible for this. Jinbe came in clutch and just absolutely sniped that fire. Nami, Brook, and Usopp applaud Jinbe. Remember, they're on Colin's ship right now. And here we see the sea cloud putting out the fire, and they're just amazed by it. All the giants, Saul, Robin, and Chopper, are just astonished, and they announce that the fire has finally been extinguished. The children are safe, except they still haven't stopped walking because Gunkko's power is obviously still active. The giant pirates are cheering for the firefighting team. They call them gods who protected Elbaf, and one of them's like, I don't know about all that. Robin and Chopper, of course, deduce that that was the work of Jinbe. Colin thanks Jinbe because even though everyone at the school hates him, they're still his friends to him. Nami's like, oh, that's a really nice thought, and then Gunkko just appears directly in front of them. She comments on how there's a kid outside of the school, and a rowdy one at that. So clearly she is going to kidnap Gabon's kid. This is definitely going to spark some Gabon Holy Knight combat. I mean, we kind of already got that foreshadowed in this chapter. But there are a couple theories that the Rox Loki flashback debunks. One, it debunks that Rox is like the Buggy of the old generation. I've been trying to tell you guys he's just not portrayed that way, and I'm pretty sure you can see that now. Another theory that it debunks is that Rox was a nice guy. I have never said that in my life, So I'm not, that doesn't apply to me. Another theory this debunks is that Rox is not the captain of his crew because his crewmates don't really respect his authority sometimes, but pretty clearly, he little bros Whitebeard here. The Rox pirates are looking like some serious demons. And the fact we are getting a Rox flashback in Elbaf could mean that we could get a God Valley flashback in Elbaf. It is entirely possible. As I've said so many times, we have already flashed back to this 3 separate times in the story. Not to mention that we could have Holy Knights on Elbaf right now who were at God Valley way back when. I mean, Summers does look pretty old. Maybe a Gabon Summers confrontation could trigger a God Valley flashback. Whether it happens in this flashback or not, it's going to happen, right? And Bogard is going to be shown there, inevitably. And I'm offering you a chance right now to join the Bogardian Alliance. You can, of course, switch up when the time comes, but just keep in mind, you will not be an OG Bogardian.